welcome back to Roland-Garros. How has your preparation been?
I think it's been good. I played some good matches in Madrid and Rome, so I'm pretty happy about that, and hopefully I can play a couple matches here too.
Start with questions.
Hey Naomi, you refer to Gael as the GOAT often. Could you explain that, please? And I'm curious also about his importance to, I guess, you as a player, as a young black player, seeing him being there for so long when you were growing up.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, like, seeing representation is so important. And on the women's side, you know, we've had, well, for me growing up, I've had Serena and Venus. So I was so grateful to them. And on the men's side, I always looked up to him and Tsonga for such a long time. And I think it's just so important. And obviously there's a wave of black French guys coming up. So I can see that he's inspired. Hopefully he's inspired, well, I know for sure he's inspired a lot of players here. And I don't know, I just really love the way he carries himself, the way he represents us, and he's just such a really cool guy. And it's nice to talk to him now because we talk about our kids. And I don't know, it's just a funny thing to have in common with him. Yeah.
Hi, Naomi. Just curious, after the stir you caused at the Australian Open with your ensemble.
What stir?
I mean, excitement. What word would you choose for what you caused? I don't know, but after your big walk-on look at the Australian Open, do you have anything planned for here? And then also, just how much sort of life does it give you being extra in those ways?
LOL, not extra.
I think it was undoubtedly extra in a good way.
I feel like fashion for me, I tell people I don't talk a lot, so that way I can talk through my clothes, and that means I can be as loud with colors or patterns or fabric as I want. But I mean, I definitely would say I'm doing something here too. But I think that's the fun part, you know? I feel like we lost that a little in tennis. I always tell people I grew up with, you know, Serena and Venus's grand reveals. I literally can look at a picture and probably tell you what year that outfit came from. So I know there's like some kids or some people that are similar to me that hopefully feel that same way about my outfits. But yeah, I am a little dramatic when it comes to my fashion sense.
Hi, Naomi. Picking up on that in terms of not talking a lot and showing things in other ways. You don't give up a lot of emotion on the court in terms of, you know, you're kind of like hard to read and poker face. Was that always the case? Were you ever a, you know, sort of extrovert on the court in ways, like when you were growing up and then controlled your emotions?
Honestly, I had a pretty bad attitude when I was younger, and my dad had a stern talk to me about it, and ever since then, I was like, oh no. But it's kind of funny. I probably shouldn't be saying this, but it's funny to hear you say that I'm like poker face, because for me, I feel like my facial expressions change a lot. And I actually curse a lot. You know that Miranda Cosgrove meme? She's like, I actually curse a lot. But no, I actually do curse a lot on the court. I think I'm just like, I say it so softly you can't hear it. And I'm really glad because I don't want to get fined for that. So.
Hi, Naomi. I wanted to ask you about fame and your relationship with the idea of fame, how it changed over the years, and if you remember the first time you realized I actually have a degree of fame. And as someone who is somewhat introverted, I'm wondering how comfortable are you at this point with everything that you've done with the idea of being famous?
I mean, honestly, for me, I don't know, but I've never felt like I was famous. I feel like I've traveled the world and there's been people that have known of me, but I'm really grateful that I'm not famous because I like to, you know, be able to go outside, walk around, do all that stuff. I think it's cool that there's people that say that I've inspired them or I've meant a lot to them in certain points of their life, but my dream is to not be famous.
Hi, Naomi.
Hey.
Braids look great.
Yours too.
Thank you. When your dad had that talking to you when you were little, what was the message that he was saying? Like, you're going to lose tennis points if you can't keep it under control, or like, it's like unbecoming or something. What was he trying to convince you of in that conversation?
Honestly, it was more like you're putting energy into the wrong things. Like, I wouldn't celebrate if I won, but I would like be extremely down if I lost. And, you know, maybe I still do that sometimes. So that is why I try to be like really pumped up and vocal. I think sometimes I could either do better or I could do less. But yeah, just celebrate your wins more and try not to celebrate your losses. Sorry.
Speaking of cursing, how and why did you find your password to your burner account on Instagram?
Oh,
And
that's not a safe place either, I see.
I mean, it's a few thousand followers. And I'm also curious, could you explain I think it's dried anchovies that you in the packet?
Yeah, I felt so Asian with that snack. So it's like, you know, if you go to the Asian supermarket, they have like these little dried fishes. And for me, I really love them. It kind of reminds me of like, obviously Japan and eating them with a big bowl of rice. But it was funny, I came to the court with them, and Mati, he's Argentinian, and he really like has a strong preference of things that he can and can't eat. He was freaking out so bad. So yeah, I would say for me, the dried anchovies is a nice snack, you know. I don't like eating bananas all the time. I don't know, I regretted it almost instantly. You know, it's like weird for me. It stresses me out to post, so obviously like there's someone that does that for me. But it's like that concept of sharing my life. And I feel like I've become a lot more private after my daughter's been born, just because there's been like a few safety concerns. But I feel like I want to be connected to people at the same time. So it's like I'm on, I would say, a balancing rope.
Naomi, just back to Gael. I remember when you used to do those Instagram lives, and he was one of them. I'm just wondering, when you look back at that period, that was a big deal for you to actually interact with other players. And can you look back a little bit about that and that conversation with Gael? And then if you see how you are now, because you mentioned that when you came back on tour, you felt more open with everyone. Do you think that would have benefited you earlier in your career, or were you happy to be in your shell earlier in your career?
I mean, that's a tough question because obviously I've gotten to know so many people now at this point, but it's taken years for me to open up. But I feel like for me that's growing pains. Like I would have to change my whole personality. And obviously a huge part of me, like growing up and forcing myself to be more extroverted, came with having my daughter. So I wouldn't change anything. Obviously, I would have loved to know everyone more sooner. But yeah, I wouldn't, I guess, dramatically, like, change. And also, like, for example, with Gael, like, I had a dinner yesterday, he was there, and I invited a bunch of other players, so I felt so extroverted in that moment, and it was just really cool.
Do we have any Japanese questions? We'll just switch to Japanese.
お疲れ様です。
ありがとう。
マドリードとローマで4回戦まで行きましたけど、今シーズンクレーでここがうまくできてるなとか自分で手応え得てる部分ってありますか？なんか。
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the clay season this year, it's been a little bit hard to judge for me. Like I felt like I was playing well in Madrid, but then obviously I played Sabalenka and I lost there. And for me, I felt like I had my chances, which was a good takeaway. And then we went into Rome, which was a completely different type of clay. So I had to adjust there. I thought I played like my first 2 matches really well, and then like Higa said, "Hell no," and then she slapped me in the ground. So I was like, that was a little crazy. And then honestly, like that blew my confidence a lot. But I just had to step away knowing that, you know, she's like the best clay court player and I still have a lot to learn. And the score was wild, but it was a little bit closer. Like there was a lot of 40 deuce games or whatever. So yeah, I think, you know, a lot of people know me for being a really good hard court player, and I hope that I can eventually start doing better in the other surfaces too. And I talked with Tomas, and he said it's crazy that I've only been to the 3rd round here, so hopefully we can go further this year.
SNS でも錦織圭さんが引退、ね、表明されたってことです。コメントされてましたけど、改めてこう彼が残したものっていうか、こうテニス界、日本テニス界も含めてどう思ってますか？
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it's kind of the same. Like, Kay's retiring, Monfils is retiring. It's really sad, but it's also like I'm so grateful for everything they've done for the sport, especially me being Japanese, being able to look up to him, seeing everything that he's achieved in a world where, you know, like Japanese tennis hasn't been able to go as far as he did in that moment in time. And it was just so inspiring, and I wanted to stand next to him, you know, as the female representative. Yeah, so I'm really glad that I was able to do that, and I wish that, you know, I was able to do it quicker, you know, to be able to like hold the flag with him for a longer time. But I don't know. I am grateful for everything that he's done, and I want to see him play tennis one more time.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, guys.